Ever get that nagging feeling? Like you're capable of so much more, but something's just holding you back.
Oh, absolutely. It's often not some huge barrier, is it? Sometimes it's just, well, feeling comfortable.
Exactly. That reluctance, maybe, to step outside what feels, easy, predictable.
And that's the comfort zone we talk about,
Yeah.
that place where things feel safe, manageable. But, that feeling, it can be pretty misleading.
Totally misleading. And that's actually what we're digging into today. We've been looking at some really compelling ideas from beyond comfort into potential.
Right, the piece by Brent Ziemann, he's got some great insights on, well, personal development, peak performance.
He really does. So our mission really for this deep dive is to unpack why. Why is stepping outside that comfortable space so crucial, as Zeman sees it, for unlocking all that potential we have inside?
Well, Zeman uses this really strong image. He calls comfort a siren song.
A siren song, yeah.
Yeah, offering these sweet reassurances. But the danger, he suggests, it's how deceptive that song is. It can just, lull you into complacency.
Right, where you start thinking, oh, things are calm, so things must be good. You mistake that lack of challenge for actual security.
Exactly. It's like Zeman's other analogy, the gilded cage.
Yes. Beautiful, maybe, but you're still confined, locked in almost.
Precisely. You've got this sense of ease,
Yeah.
but you're totally limited. You can't explore what's out there. It creates this massive blind spot, doesn't it?
It really does. Stops you seeing bigger possibilities. And the cost of staying in that cage, well, Zeman argues it's significant.
Yeah, it's not just about standing still. We think comfort equals well-being, but he slips that. He says comfort often, it's closer to stagnation than progress.
Stagnation. He even talks about potential literally withering away.
And not just like physical skills. Your dreams, your ambitions, they can fade if you're not actively, engaging them.
So staying still isn't neutral. It's actually a kind of slow erosion of what you could become.
That's the core of it. And what's really interesting is how he connects the reasons we give for staying comfortable. The excuses.
The justification.
Yeah, he links them straight back to fear. Underlying fear of the unknown, maybe fear of failing.
Or even just fear of messing up the status quo, right? The current balance.
Exactly. Which leads directly to his next point. You actually need some discomfort.
Need it. Not just tolerate it, but actually need it for growth.
Right. He argues that achieving anything really worthwhile, it demands embracing risk. Step into what he calls the exhilarating unknown.
Exhilarating. Maybe eventually. Probably scary at first.
Well, sure. But he frames it as fundamental. You look at any high achievers, the champions, the world changers he mentions, their stories always involve that choice, don't they? Choosing the uncertain path over the safe, comfortable one.
Yeah. And it makes you think about the small choices, too, like putting off that hard phone call or delaying starting a project.
Exactly. Those little comforts we choose daily. He suggests they add up. Cumulatively, they can create this huge gap between where you are and where you could actually be.
That's a really sobering thought, actually, the cumulative effect. And it connects to what he says about the price of progress.
Yes. He doesn't sugarcoat it. Growth often involves struggle, real resistance.
He uses some intense language, like being forged in the crucible of resistance.
It does. It makes you see challenges differently, not as things to avoid, but as the very things that shape you. He even says, pain is the toll you must pay for progress.
Wow. And discomfort is the currency of transformation.
Yeah, it really pushes you to reevaluate those feelings we naturally shy away from. Like maybe feeling stretched or uncertain is actually a good sign, a sign you're moving.
It's like he's saying every time you push through something tough, you're investing, making a down payment on our destiny.
That's a great way to put it, a down payment. And he reminds us, we weren't built for constant ease. We're meant to conquer and to cultivate our gifts.
Conquer and cultivate. I like that.
Right.
Which naturally leads to the dangers of getting too comfortable, right? Of settling.
Exactly. Zeman argues that staying comfortable for too long isn't just about lack of progress outwardly. It can actually lead to a kind of inner decay.
Decay in what sense?
Mentally, spiritually, emotionally. He suggests things can atrophy. Your mental sharpness, maybe your sense of purpose, even your emotional resilience.
Like a muscle you don't use. If you stop dreaming, stop challenging yourself.
Your potential itself starts to shrink. It's that lack of use. Growth, he insists, needs friction and resistance.
Friction and resistance. So you have to actively seek out things that are a bit unsettling, where you might even fail.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Engage in things where setbacks are possible. But, for some people, that immediate feeling of comfort, it just feels more important than the long-term gain of transformation.
Which brings us back to that idea of safety. Is the comfort zone really safe?
Well, that's what Ziemann questions. He suggests that perceived safety is often just the absence of immediate risk, not real purpose, not deep satisfaction.
Just less scary right now.
Pretty much. And he makes a crucial point about where those comfort zone walls come from. Often they're built from past hurts.
You mean like failures, rejections?
Failures, rejections, insecurities, all that stuff. And every time something feels risky and you retreat back inside those walls.
You just make the walls stronger.
Exactly. You reinforce them. You create what he calls a false sense of security. But it's one that seriously limits what you believe you can do.
Okay, so if the walls are built of past hurts and reinforced by retreat, how do you start taking them down? Ziemann seems to focus on fear, right?
Yeah.
Confronting fear.
Yes, fear is like the main guard at the gate of the comfort zone. And he's sharp about how fear disguises itself.
How so?
It pretends to be, caution or prudence or just good strategy. Sensible stuff.
Right, I'm not scared, I'm just being careful.
Exactly. But underneath, he argues, it's often a paralyzing force. It stops you moving towards something meaningful. And the real danger, Ziemann says, isn't stepping out.
It's staying stuck.
It's staying stuck in a life that doesn't actually fulfill you. Comfort might protect your ego in the short term, sure, but it actively harms your personal evolution.
That really reframes risk, doesn't it? And this leads into his emphasis on just taking action.
Absolutely. He's very clear. Greatness does not await perfect conditions. You can't just sit around waiting for the right time.
Because it might never come.
Precisely. Big achievements, real growth. They happen when you start moving, even when things are uncertain. The difference between success and stagnation, he says, often just comes down to that willingness.
The willingness to trade comfort for something bigger.
To forsake comfort for something far greater.
Yeah. And he suggests a mental shift, too. Instead of always thinking, what if it doesn't work?
Start asking.
What if it does? That's a small switch, but potentially huge in impact. And he talks about risk being the bridge, right?
The bridge between who you are now and who you're destined to become, essentially.
So no risk, no bridge. You just stay where you are.
Right. Without taking those leaps, you just end up repeating the same patterns. Stagnation again. The life you really want, he's pretty blunt about this, it requires discomfort, discipline, and audacious decisions.
Not comfort.
Definitely not comfort. It's on us to challenge that pull towards complacency, to face those fears head on.
So it all kind of circles back to embracing discomfort, seeing it differently.
Exactly. Not as the enemy, but as, well, he says, it's the price we must pay to access transformation.
The price of admission, almost.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
The version of yourself you admire, the one that's achieved more, that's more fulfilled, that version exists on the other side of discomfort.
But getting there involves all the things we instinctively avoid.
Totally. Pain, pressure, uncertainty, and resistance. Yeah. All that stuff feels bad. But Ziemann's whole argument is that leaning into those feelings is the only way forward.
Okay, so let's try and pull the main threads together from Ziemann's beyond comfort into potential. What are the key takeaways for you, the listener?
Well, first, your potential isn't some buried treasure you need to find. It's right there, waiting for you to act.
Waiting for a decision to maybe stop making comfort the top priority.
Exactly. And to face those fears that keep you stuck in the familiar. You really have to remember, you weren't created just to play it safe. You were made to grow, to stretch.
To transform.
Right. And every time you choose comfort over challenge, every time you retreat, there's a cost, a real opportunity cost. You're trading away a piece of your potential future.
And that comfort, it feels good for a moment, but it's fleeting, isn't it? It's not the same as that deeper satisfaction Ziemann talks about.
Not at all. That deeper fulfillment, the kind that comes from a meaningful, impactful life, is found beyond the comfort zone.
So the core message seems pretty clear. Embrace the discomfort. Lean into the resistance when it comes up. Pursue what you feel called to do with courage.
Because ultimately, as Ziemann puts it so powerfully, your destiny awaits just beyond the confines of your comfort zone.
Wow. Definitely gives you something to think about. So maybe as you go about your day today, just ask yourself, what's one small step, one thing that feels just a little uncomfortable that you could maybe lean into?
Yeah, how do these ideas connect with your own goals, your own dreams?
We really hope this deep dive has sparked some useful thoughts for your own journey. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to exploring more ideas together next time.